Iran and the P5+1 resume nuclear talks some 3 months after reaching an interim deal. Iran says the dismantling of its nuclear facilities is not on the agenda. Just a few days ago, the country's leader, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, said he was not optimistic about the negotiations, but would not oppose them. Does Iran have good reasons to distrust the US? Is a final agreement within reach? I'm Huma Lizgi and you're watching The Debate.
Iran and the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council plus Germany are meeting in Vienna for nuclear negotiations. The discussions are aimed at finding a comprehensive and final agreement to resolve the West's dispute with Iran on its nuclear energy program. The Vienna talks come more than 2 months after Iran and the P5+1 group reached an interim deal in Geneva on resolving the dispute. The 6-month interim agreement came into effect on January 20. Ahead of the Vienna talks, Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif explained the aim of the discussions.
We are going to start a discussion in good faith in order to address the problems that we decided in Geneva in the joint plan of action to address. We have an agenda that is set by the joint plan of action. We know what we are supposed to do. Our objective is to ensure that Iran's nuclear program will remain exclusively peaceful. This is a common objective that we agreed upon in Geneva. Now we are supposed to plan out how we are going to do that.
Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi also said that any subject outside the framework of the joint action plan agreed on in November cannot be negotiated. He added that dismantling of Iran's nuclear facilities is not on the agenda of the Vienna talks. Iran has previously said it would neither shut down the Arak heavy water reactor nor would it reduce the number of its centrifuges. It's also said that the research and development projects would continue. The clarifications were in response to comments by some American officials. Earlier this month, the U.S. Undersecretary of State, Wendy Sherman, told American lawmakers that Iran's ballistic missiles must be addressed as part of a comprehensive agreement. The same comment has been echoed by White House National Security Council spokeswoman Bernadette Meehan. U.S. officials have also said that pressure should be maintained on Iran over its alleged violation of human rights. On Monday, leader of Iran's Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, said bringing up the issues of human rights and missiles is just an excuse for the U.S. to continue its animosity toward the Iranian nation. He added that if the nuclear dispute was resolved, they would put forth new issues. Ayatollah Khamenei also said he's not against the ongoing talks with the P5+1 group, but he's not optimistic either and that the negotiations will lead nowhere. The US and its allies accuse Iran of seeking nuclear weapons. Tehran denies this, saying its nuclear program, that is under the inspection of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, is meant for peaceful purposes only. Iran says it's determined to resolve the nuclear dispute. But the issue can be resolved if all parties involved have the political will and good faith and work together.
You're watching The Debate. Joining us now live from Tehran is Press TV's newsroom director, Mr. Hamid Reza Emadi, and with us live from Washington with the American Institute for Foreign Policy, Mr. Michael Lynn. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. I'll put my first question to a guest in Washington, Mr. Lynn. In Geneva, Mr. Lynn, both parties agreed that the Iranian nuclear program will be treated in the same manner as that of any non-nuclear weapon state party to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. But Wendy Sherman, the U.S. nuclear negotiator, she told Congress that Iran has no need for either a heavy water reactor, the second enrichment facilities in Fordow, and that Iran should give up some centrifuges. And all these demands go beyond the requirements of the NPT. A lot of people are saying that this is duplicity. Do you think that these kinds of remarks show that the United States is not interested in a comprehensive final solution?
No, I actually think that the United States is very interested in a comprehensive final solution to this problem. The comments that you've heard, as well as comments that come from the from the government of Iran are pre-negotiating posturing on both sides. The United States, or the P5 +1, will obviously be staking out a position that makes them look like they want more than they expect to get, so they can give something up at the negotiating table. Conversely, the Iranian government will be saying, no, we can't do this, we can't do that about everything, when in fact there are some things that they may be inclined to do if they are interested in achieving a final agreement. Right now we're talking about pre-negotiation posturing. It remains to be seen how the actual discussions themselves go.
Well, let's go to Mr. Emadi in Tehran. Iran, Mr. Emadi, has announced that it will not suspend activities in the Arak heavy water reactor. It will not reduce the number of its centrifuges or stop RD-related projects. So is there going to be major disagreements about the agenda of the talks? And, or would you say, as I guess there in Washington was saying, that this is pre-negotiating posturing?
Well, let's go back to the Wendy Sherman question. Wendy Sherman said in October 2013 that deception is in the DNA of Iranians. She was clearly insulting the Iranian nation, a nation that has stood the test of time. For thousands of years, Iranians made calculus and medicine. Even I was talking to a Christian pastor last night. He was saying that even we Christians, we believe that Iranians saved baby Jesus. A lot of people in the world respect the Iranian nation, but it sounds like the U.S. government officials are trying somehow to distract the world public opinion, the attention of the international community from the main issue which is on the table right now. Iran says, and as we said in that package, in that report, the foreign minister of Iran, Dr. Zarif, is saying that we are there, we are talking in Vienna right now, we talked in Geneva, we reached a deal to prove to the whole world that Iran's nuclear program is exclusively peaceful. As for the question of Iraq, Iran says that there is no reason why it has to stop the Iraq heavy water reactor. Iran said, I talked to Dr. Salehi, the head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization, just a couple of weeks back. He told me that Iran is ready to allay all the concerns about the heavy water reactor in Iraq. Iran is ready to make design change to the heavy water reactor in Iraq in order to ease all those possible concerns about its nuclear activities in that installation. So Iran is ready to be transparent. It is up to the other party to be trusting the Iranians and to win the trust of the Iranian nation instead of insulting them.
Well, Mr. Lin, one observer was saying the reason we did reach a deal last time in Geneva was because the other side, and particularly the US, decided to be more realistic with Iran. And now the same issue. Do you think that the United States should be willing to make a compromise and is willing to make a compromise? Because a compromise means Iran taking a step and also the US taking a step. I mean, with Iran saying that it's ready, for instance, for a design change in Iraq rather than the entire shutting down of Iraq, why shouldn't that be something that the US should consider?
Well, I think you're exactly right. If these negotiations are going to achieve a final agreement, a final comprehensive agreement, then there are going to have to be compromises on both sides. Again, we are in the stage now where both sides are staking out their public positions, which may not even indeed be the same positions that they are sending private signals to each other off the front pages of the newspapers and the television cameras. What many people in the United States are afraid of, let me say this, my colleague mentioned that there needs to be more trust of the United States, of the Iranian people, the Iranian government. Look, there has been no trust between these two parties for almost 35 years. There is a lot of mistrust that needs to be overcome. And part of these negotiations will be assessing whether or not our opponents and the Iranian government opponents are negotiating in good faith. Trust is something that's going to be earned over the course of the discussions. It is not something that exists now. It remains to be seen whether or not both parties truly want to achieve a final comprehensive agreement. That will be brought out over the course of the discussions. But trust is one of those things that is going to have to be earned and grow over the discussions. It does not exist now.
But Mr. Ahmadi, on the issue of trust, it reminds us of the remarks made by the leader of Iran's Islamic Revolution. He said that I'm not opposed to the talks, but I'm not optimistic because, again, that issue of mistrust exists. But who is responsible for this mistrust? Concerning the talks that have been taking place, has Iran been taking confidence-building measures to build trust, and has the U.S. been responding in kind?
Well, the issue of the trust deficit that does exist between Iran and the United States goes back to 1953 when CIA staged its first coup against a sitting government, the government of democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh in Iran. So technically speaking, the United States of America toppled a democratically elected government in Iran. So that was the first step. And then you see the United States helping Saddam Hussein in his deadly war against Iranians for 8 years, material support, political support. The U.S. did everything possible to help Saddam Hussein kill Iranians and destroy the country's infrastructure. So after that, you see the United States launching this sanctions campaign against the Iranian nation. For many years now. You have seen these sanctions affecting the people's daily lives, and just the people, not the government. The government has been able to do what it wanted to do. In case, regarding the nuclear program, you can see when the sanctions regime was not at the stage that it is right now. 10 years ago, Iran had 168 centrifuges, and today, as we speak, Iran has 19,000 centrifuges, both old ones and the advanced ones. So the sanctions have affected the daily lives of people. So the United States has been responsible for the trust deficit that does exist between the two countries. And Iran has been trying to build trust. Just look at the example of Afghanistan. When the U.S. attacked Afghanistan, Iran helped the United States with intelligence. Iran offered its support, offered its help with the overthrow of those radical extremist elements that were fighting the people of Afghanistan. And Iran was branded as a member of an axis of evil by the then President of the United States, George W. Bush. So it was what Iran got as its reward for helping the U.S. in Afghanistan. And then in 2003, the Iraq war, only God knows what Iranians did over there. Perhaps they didn't help the U.S., and that's what the U.S. was responsible for, the trust deficit that, that was created at that time.
Well, before we continue the debate, I want to give our viewers a chance to take a look at some of the comments that have been posted on our Facebook page by our viewers. We'll take a look at those comments and we'll be right back.